soul for me, yes, I believe in reincarnation and all the mystical, magical things, that, you know, in one body it might have been a man. Like I've done, for example, my own past life regressions where I've taken myself and I'm a man on a train tracks, or I'm a man like working and he's escaped from a prison. Like, yeah, this is going real wacky now.
Love
but
it.
it's like I've been taken to one where I was in the war, like the war era, and, you know, I'd stole for my family, whatever it may be. So that then increments into my money. So I feel in this lifetime I've dealt with a lot of money things. Yes, my programming and belief was done as a child, around money and what it is. But the more that I've been like, okay, I'm an adult and I actually need to sort this out. What is it? Like, why? And the more I've delved into it and done, you know, the shadow work to not bypass it and, you know, just go straight to a soul regret, like a past life regression, is what then linked me to doing soul contracts. And, you know, I agreed to come into this lifetime with scarcity and poverty. Like I lived in that before. So therefore that was my sacrifice to come into this life. And it's fucking held me back from receiving, from believing I was worthy to receive, because my soul remembers, and then therefore my body feels it, because our body never forgets either. So it's like,
What is reality really made of? I'm your host, Carla, and welcome to Cosmic Batter, the podcast where we explore stories of the unknown and my experience of becoming psychic. This is for anyone who realizes that there is so much more to the human existence. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cosmic Batter podcast with today's guest. As soon as we sat down, we started talking, so I pretty much just hit record right away when we were practically mid-conversation. So please welcome Jazz. Jazz is an incredible friend of mine. She was also a client, and she inspires me so much. She is deeply connected to her psychic abilities. She is a medium and she's a mum. And that's important because she's been through an incredible journey, and she's now sharing that, how to become really empowered with your relationship with money, with your ability to put yourself out there, to still, you know, be the mom, but to build momentum and traction in every other area of your life. So she's insanely gifted. This conversation is so fucking cool. We talk about past life regressions, the soul, the spirit world, the difference between understanding those concepts. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up. Please welcome Jazz and enjoy this episode. We were just talking about how you know things and you're letting yourself unknow certain things, like letting go of sort of rules, and that's helping you to like better embody, you know, trust and magnetism in your business. So can you just explain what you mean by knowing something and unknowing it?
yeah, I think it's opening a line for so many possibilities. Like to unknow is to allow room for so much more. Because when we know something, I feel we restrict ourselves or limit ourselves to know more. Because it's like, well, no, I already know that, so I'm not going to listen to that. Or I already know about that. I don't need to, like, yeah. But it's like, actually, if I just allow myself to just be and just not know anything, I think it just opens for me massive opportunities to just learn more about myself, but to just be, yeah. Because we come here not knowing anything, do we? Like our soul knows why she's here. Like I'm a she now, but my soul knows why. But but prior to that, no clue.
Yeah, and I definitely feel that like when I started working online and I learned like how to do things, and then that's all I knew how to do, and I felt almost like really scared to go outside of that. Like, no, I've been taught a specific way, I have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult for me and took like so much inner work to be like, actually, fuck those rules that I was taught. Like, let me do it another way. And I guess applying that to all of life, like not just,
Yeah.
one way to do
Same.
business.
Yeah. Yeah, just to be like, you could even look at the way of people talking about manifesting. You could even look at the way of people talking, like, which is all just beliefs. It's just circulation of beliefs is my belief. Like, even me sharing that is my belief, like, so unknowing to me is really allowing to just be at like a point of zero. And at being at a point of zero, it can be any way, right? So allowing yourself, like, and therefore what does that release? Well, it reduces stress and pressure on your body. It reduces this pressure and stress on your nervous system, on just life, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just going to show up and be myself, going to be authentic, like, stand in my truth, and my power allows me to just be, because I don't know anything else. Yeah.
I love that. And what you just said on manifestation, I just immediately was like, I have so much to say, because when you start with manifestation, it's like visualize, make your goals, backtrack them. How can you do that? Like, what action do you need to take? Meditate every day, blah, like all these things.
Yeah.
And it's definitely very productive. But multiple times in my life, it's gotten to the point where I'm like, it ain't fucking happening.
Yeah.
Like I want it to happen. Or why isn't it here yet? Or I'm saying this affirmation every day and it isn't fucking happening. And like you can get so caught up in the doing that you don't let it just happen. And even if I just talk about meditation, like we're encouraged to say meditate every day, and I love meditation. But sometimes I don't feel like it. And I have in the past forced myself to do it every day. And then it's counterproductive, because then I'm not relaxed and I'm like, I fucking don't want to sit down right now. And I just find it funny because, like, say being in a higher vibration or being relaxed doesn't necessarily mean that you do all those tools every single day. Sometimes I don't do any of them and I just relax and watch TV. And it was like, yes. Oh, yes.
That's my
You
fave.
like doing that, don't
I
you?
sit outside and watch washing dry, or like just go outside and listen to something. It's quietening your mind, like, and we will never, like, so many people live in their head, right? How would you quieten that? You have programmed yourself, like, it's literally like going to the gym. Like, I could probably lift 100 kilos with my mind because it's so strong, but like constantly going. So where to get out of there, and like meditation is all about coming back into your body, really, when you think about it. So it's like, what other somatic practice could you look at that's going to give you the same results, but you actually enjoy it? Like, is it just dancing to the music and like you're listening to? Is it because at certain times, if you're in something is sitting in your body and you're trying to get it out, sitting down and breathing through, that's not going to help me. Like, I need to move it, like move my body, or like dance around, or get in the shower and just belt out a song. I don't even know where the fucking song come from, but I'm just like, like so that it's like out, and that's being creative and expressing myself. It feels so good.
Yeah, and I just love these conversations as a whole, because I feel like our society is so much in the mind. And I went through this, a lot of people are still going through this, where they're like, oh, I really need to know more before I can do the thing. And the more that you put into your mind, it's like, well, to a degree, the more, say, resistance you create or limitations. The same as like what you said at the beginning, when you knew a really, really specific way, it was like, well, hang on, what if I just go back to not knowing and open up all possible pathways? And especially when we have like energy stuck in our body or emotions, and then most people, we're like sponges, and they're just trying to fill the sponge with more and more and more and more information, and it doesn't change anything. It's full. It's not getting anywhere. It's just total overload.
Yeah, I feel that so much. Like recently, like as I was saying, just totally overdoing it, over investing, and all the things allowed me to be that, just become this sponge. And I was just like, yuck, if I actually rang it out, none of it would matter. So just throw it away. Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, like with the manifesting, it's the how all the time. People want to know how's it going to happen? Like, I'm going to ask for a sign. then I'm going to hang on every bated breath, waiting for that sign. But for me, it's about who am I being? Like, and then what am I doing to be able to receive, which is to have, like, be, do, have. Yeah. And that helps a lot because it's like about who we are being. They talk, and really it's been proven too, like if you reprogram your subconscious mind to be who you want to be with that manifestation, okay, who I want to be with having that car, let's use a car, or going on a holiday, or making lots of money. Who do I show up as? Like who am I doing that now behind, off the camera? No one knows me. Like, yeah. So then what am I doing each day to embody that being? Like, am I showing up? Is she over investing? Is she negative towards herself, but preaching about believing in her body and all the beautiful things? But in one conversation, she's bitching about the fact she can't lose weight, like just that stuff. But then you get online and act to be somebody else. So being fully out of fucking integrity with myself. So what am I doing behind the scenes of just being a human? Yeah. And then I get to have it because I'm being it already. I'm doing it because I still believe you have to do inspired action 100% to receive your manifestations. But there's just so much out there about it. It's like, that's my belief. You might have something totally different that works for you, so yours might be thinking and feeling about it, all that, which we know is associated with it. But yeah, it's just like, what do I know though? If I unknew all of that and allowed myself to just be and do the being and the doing to have, because it feels really good for me, then of course it'll work out, because I'm not forcing myself or like allowing myself to. Yeah, like, I mean, so I had the conversation with my 4-year-old daughter yesterday who didn't want to dance. We go to dancing every Tuesday, and it's just a little thing for her to do. And she said, I don't want to do it. I feel nervous. And, they're just learning about feelings and emotions in their body. And I said to her, like, and she's done it a couple of times at dancing now, to the point where I'm like, do we even bother? And I said to her, Dal, sometimes we just have to do things that we don't want to do, even though we feel nervous. And look, people that are listening, that might be a parent, might think, well, that's not right. But it's like, sometimes we do. Like, take example for people that you go for a job interview. You might not want to do that, but for now, in this reality, you fucking have to, because you need to put food on the table. You need to pay your rent. Like, and we know that throughout, by doing that, then yeah, you might be able to use the money from that to invest in something to then be able to change your direction. But for now, this is the reality. So I feel a lot of the time, seeing as we're talking about manifestations, a lot of people live in this fluffy world that you just have to write it out 10 times, put affirmations on your phone, and meditate on the feeling, and it'll just happen. But in the process of that, your subconscious mind still has these beliefs and thoughts and old patterns running that you're not worthy of receiving that manifestation. You will never get out of your 9 to 5. And of course, that soulmate lover is never going to tap you on the shoulder, because you just don't believe that you're worthy of having, a soulmate client in your life type thing. So yeah, it's like, that's my thoughts and my beliefs, but that's because that's what was running on fucking repeat for me for so long. And changing that and doing the things which then leads into all the work that I do, which is like, yeah, changing and going into past lives and soul contracts and all the things that we have come to earth with this in our soul, and fucking writing that, because I'm not coming here to any more sacrifice living in poverty or scarcity. Like, I'm done with that. So yeah, it's like, you have to, for me, it's definitely about the subconscious mind and changing that, but also being aware of what's happening in our soul, like in this body. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. You're on a roll. The be, do, have principle I love, and I want to share, like, I find it such a fascinating process because just of how I've moved through it. So when I started my online business, it was like, okay, to be a successful business person and be actually making money and attracting clients, I have to fucking show up online. So I did paid advertising. I learned how to make content. I put myself out there all the time. I was like, this is what I have to do to like actually believe that I'm this person. And then after a while being like, okay, if I'm actually really good at my work, I don't need to be paying for advertising. Like I can just be good at my work. So I pulled back, on that aspect, but I was still showing up all the time. And where I'm at now, I'm like, wow, if I'm really successful, I believe like people will come to me word of mouth. And to be that, I'm actually going to fucking relax.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to post when I feel like it.
Yeah.
And that is also to me like almost the millionaire lifestyle. And I'm not even pursuing that actively anymore, but like to be so relaxed about my time, money's coming in, and I get to, that's me being. And it's just funny how you like move through those layers. And I guess it works. Like it works because
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me to be here now and be able to say that, and the way that your business has changed as well, or your life.
Absolutely. And it's because it feels good for you. It feels good for you to do what you're doing. And I'm all about the feels, because feelings, it elicits like a vibration. Therefore, every time we feel a particular way, whether we're sitting in, like, you know, and this is that vibration scale. If you're sitting in guilt, shame, doubt, fear, lack, all of that at that low vibration, we know that. And for the people that are listening, I'd say they would know this too. If not, let's educate them. You will attract that, you know, copy paste from the universe. This is what you get. Where if you actually put your hand on your heart and choose to set an intention to raise your vibration, simply by just saying that, you automatically raise your vibration, because you are choosing to override the continual thought process. Your mind is the last thing to always catch up. That's what I've been learning. First, it's our soul, our spirit, then our body, then our mind. So the power of our mind to change this stuff is just phenomenal. Like, that's why I always say your mind is my number one choice of weapon, because like if we do not have our mind set, I guess, what could you say, trained or in a state of empowerment and how powerful you are and how worthy you are and all the things, of course, it'll loop back into that old thoughts and doubts of not having what you want and not having it now, and how am I going to get it and what can I do and all the things. And it's like, actually, if I just sit the fuck back, relax, know that of course it's all compounding and working out for me, it'll happen exactly as it needs to. Because every additional piece, I feel that we add to it by trying to do more, we just add another layer of resistance, which then just pushes it out even further. And it's like, damn, I was so close and I could touch it, and now I've just come all the way back, you know, like, so, which is all part of the journey, of course, but it's also, damn it, frustrating.
Yeah. Literally what you just said, sort of around like when we try and do more, like, so I'm in the most relaxed position in my life and business like I've ever been in. And it was a few weeks ago now, but I was like, I trust that content will drop in at the right time. I haven't worried about content for a long time, but I was like, look, I'm going to sit down and just write out a very rough launch schedule, so I just know when to talk about what is the podcast, why am I making it, what's my intention, like this is information that I do want to share. And as I was writing it, I was like, you don't need to do this, you already know you don't need to do it, and you're not going to follow it. And I was like, I'm just going to do it because I have time, and like it didn't take long. Really the old me like really wants to feel safe and have like a content plan. Do you think I followed it? No. And like then say it was last week, I got on a call with someone about the podcast, and I was so inspired. And after, I was like, let's do a live. Hey guys, this is what's happening. This is the changes. This is the podcast. And I just did it. It just happened naturally. And like, I tried to do excess.
Yes. That's what I find. And when you're in that energy and it drops in, like I did a workout yesterday and I was sitting the same. I'm like, I've got this new program. Fuck, I've written all this out, but I don't want to say that. What else am I going to say? And then as I was doing my workout, it was like, simplify it. And I was like, okay, simplify it. What does simplify it mean? And it's like, well, what does the awakened feminine mean to you? And I was like, fuck yeah, she's got boundaries. She's strong. She's powerful. She's got, oh, quick. And I had to go to my laptop and quickly type it out, because it just all dropped in for me, because I allowed the space. And by simply just doing a workout, not worrying about it, letting it go, trying to do more, it's not going to come through. And we know, like, if you're a business owner listening to this, you could be packing a load of washing away or pegging something out. P.S. I love washing. Not really. But you could be like doing something totally irrelevant to what you're normally doing, and it just drops in. And then that's when it's like, bam. Yes. So you roll with that, because that's where the energy is. That's where the fire goes. And people buy from people. They don't buy from the graphic. They don't buy from the fucking words you use. They are buying from you, the person who is embodied in it, of course, and is able to share and talk about it because they've been there, right? So, yeah, for me, absolutely. I'm like, it's all about the feeling. Yeah.
And you mentioned something earlier about like training your mind. And I just wanted to touch on that again, because so often, like, people, and it's for anything in life, like, people don't even start because they look at like the finished product, or like, say I use the term like being a millionaire, and it just feels like so fucking far away. But the sort of training that you do at the beginning, it's so small. It's like, okay, maybe you have a completely normal job, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to add journaling to this. Like, I want to improve my life. I'm going to maybe add meditation. Like, okay, I might brainstorm if I wanted to do something creative, what would that look like? And like, just that commitment to self and to, getting into the body with time, regulating your nervous system, essentially, that's what makes way for the really, really big changes. Like, I didn't get here overnight, but it starts with that really small mind training, and where you give yourself permission to get out of your mind, to stop listening to everything that could go wrong, and just be like, okay, well, what would bring me joy? It starts small. Hello, beautiful people. Excuse me while I interrupt this podcast, because I need to tell you about my Shapeshifter Masterclass. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you will know how many times I have pivoted in my life and in my business. I talk about it a lot. I built up a really big fitness business. I realized I wasn't passionate about it anymore. I changed and went into mindset. That evolved into healing work, and that has evolved into my abilities as a psychic. And through all of those evolutions, I've also stepped into a lot of business mentoring. So when we allow ourselves to pivot and grow, we get to expand, learn, grow, all of these things at the same time. When we allow ourselves to pivot, we actually line up with our highest possible timeline. And this is what I want to share with you, because I'm seeing a lot of people who want to express themselves and they want to learn something new, but they're holding back because they're afraid of change, or they feel like it's too late for them, or they feel like they should already be there, and therefore they, feeling like they've failed before they've even started. Let me show you just how fucking easy it can be to change, how little, tiny, easy, and safe changes can make a massive difference to your reality. So my Shapeshifter Masterclass, it's a 3-day immersive experience. So you get to work very closely with me. It is Monday 23rd, Tuesday 24th, and Wednesday 25th of October. These sessions will be 30 to 45 minutes, so they'll be short and sweet. And I'm going to show you how easy it can be to listen to your soul's calling, listen to those little intuitive nudges, make those tiny changes, start to express yourself, and how abundantly you will be rewarded as a result. The more that I have trusted my intuition, the more abundance comes into my life. I recently got a $10,000 inheritance early, like, surprisingly. I recently got $1,400 out of nowhere. Again, a major surprise. And at the moment, I'm getting, free dance classes, free energy healing sessions, free spinal energetic sessions. And it's not about the money aspect, but it's about this abundant way of living. And I'm going to show you just how rewarded you will be for following those intuitive nudges that you feel. And have fun with it, to how you can have fun with the journey instead of feeling overwhelmed and scared. So come to Shapeshifter if you want to learn how to pivot and grow and express yourself and have a really goddamn good time while you do that. And this immersive masterclass experience is completely free. I'll put the link down below. I would love to see you there. And now back into this podcast with Jazz. Small.
Yeah. what are you like, what are you passionate about? How can you elicit that more energy of getting out of your head, finding something you enjoy? And for me, same, it's like, go back to basics. What are the basics we know of mindset? Well, one, we control it. So it's like, what thoughts can I now put on repeat? And it takes time. It's like going to the gym and thinking that you can start, lifting and bench pressing 120 kilos when you've never bench pressed before. So fucking way you'll be able to do it. You really hurt yourself. So it's the same, using the same analogy with your mindset. Start with baby steps. If it's affirmations, awesome. Every time a thought comes in, it's like, stop. You can even say it out loud, stop it. Or you could even be like, fuck off ego, like whatever you want it to be. I choose this. And yeah, it's allowing yourself to take back the control or come into your body, allow yourself to, just for me, it's about taking the control back, because you give your power away to mindset all the time. People give power away to everything: money, sickness, illnesses, all the things, houses, men, relationships, women, whatever it may be. We give our power away so many times. Like, think about the programming we do have from our parents, as a child, or our caregivers, playing out in our lives now. Like for me, like I'm 35 and I'm still doing deep healing from what happened in my childhood. We might believe we haven't had a traumatic childhood because what is labeled as a traumatic childhood didn't happen to me. So it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. You're not worthy of healing that, because but the more you unpack it, you're like, I actually had a pretty fucked up childhood. And wow, yeah. So it's like, how can I, now that I've let that shit go, can I, show up and be a different person? And it's in my mind, through my mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a worthiness thing. And again, if you realize that you're held back by your own patterns in some way, which you picked up from your parents, like there's no blame, no judgment, like, okay, why? How can I do better for me? So if that is healing, if it's, other things, it's just a worthiness thing. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you or your life. Like, hey, we all have trauma in whatever way. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I had an incredible childhood and I love my parents, but fucking I had some shit to work through as well. And I was one that was like, I used to say, I had a great childhood, like nothing to complain about, nothing. And I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I was like, well, the specifics don't matter right now, but like, no, some actually really bad things happened to me in that period. And also no one's necessarily fault or anything.
No.
But I want to
doing the best we can. My parents were doing the best they could with what they had at the time. And reality is, being a parent, you actually don't know if you are impacting or affecting your child until they've grown up, of course. So it's like, but how can for me, the biggest thing I'll say about healing my generational trauma is that it ran into everyone in my family until it got to me. And therefore the buck stops with me, because I don't want it. I don't want my daughters to have to heal the stuff and the shit that I did or what I went through. So for me, I have a choice as a parent to make empowered choices for my daughters, but I just, fingers crossed, pray, and that know that by what I'm doing and what my partner's doing and the impact we're having on being conscious parents, we can, whatever you want to label it as, you're doing the best you can with what you've got. And my mum was exactly the same when my dad left. My mum, being a single parent, was doing the best she could with what she had, and every single step compounds and leads you to me to where I am now at 35. Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see what happens. Like, I don't have kids yet, but in the future, when we have conversations with our grown-up kids, like if I'm in that situation, which I foresee, if if they've had traumatic experiences, which they will, things will have happened, if it's different because we're so open to having the conversation or taking ownership, or if I definitely think it will be different, because for example, like my parents are from a different generation. We've had conversations not about anything that happened, but just about how I feel and like to be treated. And at the beginning, sometimes they're a bit defensive. But with time, like they've been more understanding of, oh, she's just, saying, I don't like it when you say this, or like they've become a lot more receptive. So I just wonder, because like I said, we don't know what we're going to pass on to our kids, but if it will be different because of the conversations that we're willing to have. It's 11:11 on
That's
my
my
screen.
affirmation.
So
I forgot to turn it off. Yeah.
everybody, 11:11. The
Yes,
universe
yeah.
has just told us.
Just reminding us.
Well, that will be confirmation that it will be different.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just them letting us know that it's definitely different. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, my partner is 20 years older than me. So it's so beautiful, the mixture of it, because it's like I'm from a different generation that he's from. He's got 3 children to a previous relationship. So he's done the parenting, you know, like the eldest from his is 30, I think. So yeah, it's funny how he's now got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. She's like doing it all over again. But it's beautiful how it works. But like he'll say to her, "Oh, don't cry about it. Sometimes you just got to not express yourself like that." And I'm like, "Pardon? You fucking better believe."
Sometimes you just have
herself.
to push it down.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Please don't say that to her. Please don't say that to her, because I don't want her to come and sit in a session with me and say at the age of 4, Dad did this." No.
Yeah,
but yeah, like just she is allowed to express herself. You know, like the worst thing we could do is tell the child not to express themselves. So yeah, it's funny how it all like pans out. But yeah,
that's sweet though.
Yeah, it is. Just just say, hey.
Actually, I want to share a milestone myself. Like 2 years ago, when I had moved back in with my parents, I walked away from my fitness business, friendships, like everything was falling apart. It was beautiful and crazy. And at one point I was like crying in my room. Something happened, I was crying. And my mom came in and she was like, you know, why are you sad? And she was like, I don't want you to be sad. Like, I don't want you to be upset. And I was crying and I was like, Mom, it's okay to be sad. Like, I just feel I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm just sad right now because this and this and this has happened. And I'm like, I'm just, you know, gonna have a little cry. And then maybe like last week, I got really stressed about a few things and I was talking to my mom and I started crying and I was like, oh, I've been, you know, meaning to get this out. And I just cried and I said, you know, I just need to be sad. And Mom was like, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And we were talking and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
For Mom to not say like, no, stop. I don't want. And now she's like, oh, it just needs to come out.
Yeah. Because like as a parent, you're like, oh, how can I fix this and make it better? But sometimes I'm like, well, you know what? Just go and have a cry about it, doll. Like, if you're okay, that's fine. Like, you know, for a 4-year-old, I'm like, what does the matter? You know, 2-year-old's totally different. They just want to be, she'll tell you she just wants to cuddle. Where a 4-year-old just keeps going. And I'm like, all right, Giles, maybe take yourself to the bedroom and when you're feeling, just come back. Like, can I give you a cuddle? No. And like, you know, the little swear words come out now. And I'm like, all right, then. And I just got told to fuck off by my 4-year-old. But it's all part of it, you know, like, because for me, I can say like all the stuff, yes, that I went through in my childhood, I still felt so much love and support by my mum. You know, it's not until that I've probably come into getting older and doing the things now, there's like, you know, obviously there were signs there that, you know, it was a little bit dysfunctional, but find me a functioning family. Yeah, it's just like, it's funny. So yeah, that I think, okay, well, as long as we can love them, not smother them, but yeah, we know we're doing right.
Yeah, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now this is a little to the side, but you mentioned it before and it's something I really wanted to get into with you. You mentioned like past lives and healing and stuff. So I have received these myself. I have done some past life regressions myself, but I want to hear your perspective because I feel like I just want to hear your perspective. Like, why is it important to heal past lives and what does that mean?
Yeah. So my whole belief on past lives and doing soul contracts and I guess karmic clearings is because it limits us in this lifetime. So what we are carrying that we are unaware of, like until we do a past life regression, let's link it to that, is holding us back from our fullest potential because we have these old subconscious beliefs and patterns running in our body now. Like our soul lives in this body now, but our soul, for me, yes, I believe in reincarnation and all the mystical, magical things, that, you know, in one body it might have been a man. Like I've done, for example, my own past life regressions where I've taken myself and I'm a man on a train tracks, or I'm a man like working and he's escaped from a prison. Like, yeah, this is going real wacky now.
Love it.
But it's like, been taken to one where I was in the war, like the war era, and I'd stole for my family, whatever it may be. So that then increments into my money. So I feel in this lifetime I've dealt with a lot of money things. Yes, my programming and belief was done as a child, around money and what it is. But the more that I've been like, okay, I'm an adult and I actually need to sort this out. What is it? Like, why? And the more I've delved into it and done, the shadow work to not bypass it and, just go straight to a soul regret, like a past life regression, is what then linked me to doing soul contracts. And, I agreed to come into this lifetime with scarcity and poverty. Like I lived in that before. So therefore that was my sacrifice to come into this life. And it's fucking held me back from receiving, from believing I was worthy to receive, because my soul remembers, and then therefore my body feels it, because our body never forgets either. So it's like, people sound like, just to break it down, the difference between a soul and a spirit. So the soul is what I carry from each lifetime, and the spirit is of that lifetime. So for example, if I fell off my perch tomorrow, my spirit still lives on. So my friends and my family can still feel me. I'm literally just an energy, like a graph matter of energy. My soul is what reincarnates and rebirths and comes into another lifetime. And that is how you do past life regressions, is by connecting. We go up and connect to our star home because we chose to come into this life. So I think we've shared off recording before and in DMs and chats just in general about this stuff, because we just find it so fascinating. How when we do choose to reincarnate, we put our hand up for the mission. So we come from a soul star of 7, and out of the 7 we put our hands up and said, okay, yeah, I'll come to Earth in 1988 and I'll live this life out. And at the age of probably 28, I'm going to totally fucking debunk everything in my life, and I'm going to hit a soul. I'm going to do my soul, what is it called? My Saturn return was when it all really happened for me at 28. And a lot of women experience it between the ages of 28 and 33, 34, which is basically, it's, people could, in 3D terms, claim it as a midlife crisis. But you actually hit something different again at about 35. So, and I can feel that now, like all different things happening and changing. But by going in and healing, and what we actually do, for example, I did one where, and this was really when I started to do it around money, and I kept having this flashback of, this girl's house that I used to go to as a kid. And I'm like, fuck, I think we picked her up from that house twice or 3 times maybe. Like, why is that house visual coming so clear? And I grew up in the Blue Mountains, so it kept coming back to me. And I'm like, do I need to go visit home? Like, what is it? When I went into this soul contract, was it a past life or soul? I'm pretty sure it was soul contract, because there's only 5 reasons why, like there's 5 reasons, I can't think of them all right now, of why, what you agree to in your soul contract, but scarcity, poverty,
struggle.
Yeah, struggle. And there's a few other ones, like, and some of them you can actually be tricked into thinking like you were tricked in this part. And I had that in one. So when you actually go in and do a session, you ask all these questions. So one of them was 97 lifetimes ago. One was 32. Like, they're so different, and you'll get a different answer each time, because we don't really know how many lives we have lived. Like, you could do a soul regression every day. Like, you know what I mean? We wouldn't.
Yeah, no. But and what was the house? Why was the house popping up?
So yeah, sorry. The house, then when I went in and did this soul contract clearing around scarcity, lack, poverty, was taken to the paddock next door to this house, and I was a girl. I was in and I'm shown her quite regularly, and she's in like this linen. She's probably like maybe between 18 and 23 or something. And when she looked at me, she was dirty, like her hands and her feet were dirty, like she had boots on. And when I looked at her eyes, they were just glowing. And what it was, I was actually traded and used around in that lifetime for my gifts. So people bought me for my gifts, and I was going to be able to tell you and show you what was going to forecast and happen in the future. And as I say this, I just get like head to toe goosebumps.
I've had multiple chills right now.
And she was traded. But what come to mind was it was a massacre, and my family were massacred. My mum especially. It was something linked to my mum. And they basically killed my whole family to use me. And then so I agreed to go into, you know, as you would at any era of that time. And it was sort of in that paddock then linked onto like these back streets of like dirty markets and just yucky men. And yeah, so I was just passed around from pillar to post, and it was clearing a poverty for me from that, because of course I agreed to that, to get the fuck away from these people that in that. So, but what happens in that is I used Archangel Raphael to hold that energy. So therefore, when the person that facilitated it, beautiful Brit that we know, facilitated it, used Archangel Raphael for healing. He's paramount for his healing. But what happens, because you don't want to take a client through that and they feel all of that, like even just talking about it, I can still feel it in my heart space. So it's like, okay, well, sometimes you have not, when we are finishing up the past life or the soul contract, you will ask if there is any more lives to clear from this contract, and it'll be a yes or a no, and then how many. You can opt to do it in the session, just depends. But what I mean is, when you go up, it's basically a third party holds the feeling, holds the energy and the vibration of what's happening. So you in this realm can see yourself and talk to this other soul and say, hey, it's 2023. I don't need you to feel this way anymore. Like, what do you need from me? They might want peace. They might want love. They might want to cuddle. Do they want to come and live with you in this lifetime and support this mission? Or do they want to play amongst the stars? And 90% of them just want peace and freedom and to live amongst the stars. And it's been life-changing for me, truly, to do this work, because I can now do this work and help other people. So, for example, my mum that... You know, I grew up in I wouldn't say a very religious family, but my nana was Catholic. And so my mum was brought up in a Catholic family. We went to church. I wouldn't say whether you would say it was Protestant or Presbyterian. I don't know. And we went to an Anglican private school. So we went to church. So therefore we were considered believers. My nana would bash you with her Bible, like make no qualm. Like my nana is through and through, as awful as it sounds, a miserable Christian. My mother-in-law is Catholic and is the most beautiful woman. I would never hear her say a cross word about anybody. But my nana was like, and they're from the same era, because obviously my partner is older than me. So she was trying to drum into me one day that just like this about Mary and about Jesus and what my mother-in-law is trying to tell me about the rosary beads. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So
her kind of rules.
So your God's better than her God, like type thing. So what I mean is, so my nana has called me a white witch for doing the work that I do, and my mum wasn't on board with it. And when when I first started telling my mum about my gifts, and I had a woman come to me for a reading, and she'd just been given the news like of a cancer scare. So she was like, can you let's delve into this. And I said to my mum, I got so emotional. Like, I just can't believe, like, I'm so grateful for this gift. Like, I am so grateful for this work that I get to do. And she was just like, And I was like, okay, like my family think I'm fucking whack.
Yeah, join the club.
And then I chose not to give a fuck, because I was like, this is what I put my hand up out of my, and, it's actually... And, when we talk about life and a gift of being here, it is a fucking gift to be here, because the lineup to get into our body, to come back into earth to fulfill your mission, which plays into the karmic part of it. If you have this continual karmic wheel of life and you don't get to clear and heal in this lifetime from the other lifetimes, you'll take it with you into every lifetime. So that's why the healing is never done, really. Once you start the journey, you just open a can of worms. But it's liberating as well, right? Like, I left a relationship of 10 years when I hit my 28. I'd been with the guy for 10 years. We literally grew together, obviously, from the time I was 18 to now. I was on the corporate ladder, baby. I was getting that fucking job. I was going to be that complex manager. And of course I would have made it. I probably would have made it to the state manager role. I didn't want to be a mum though. I didn't want to have kids. The relationship was loveless, and it was just, but for me, like I was like hell high water. I was getting that job. And I was sideswiped by the universe. It's like, absolutely not. You're fucking kidding yourself. So this is what happens, right? Spirit whispers, then they nudge, and then they just sideswipe you. You don't have a choice because you put your hand up to come here at this time to fulfill your mission. So people might choose to start doing the healing journey, or they might go and do like a medicine journey, and they're told what your purpose is, or they see a psychic and they be like, this is what I want to do and this is what you're here to do. Basically handed it to you on a silver platter, but in 2 weeks' time, they're still hanging around the same people. They're still at the same job. They still couldn't give a fuck about, yeah? So it's like you have a choice. There's like a fork in the road. So for me, it's like you either choose to come along on the journey and do the work and be liberated at times. And yes, it's hard. But at the same time, you will either just be forced into doing it. You don't have a choice. And for me, the choice is you either stay in a miserable life or you choose to create your life. And fuck, I'd love to choose to create every time, because so many miserable people walking around, so many people misaligned in loveless relationships, in shit jobs, in states and countries they don't even want to be in, because they just live their life fear and programmed by the beliefs that we are given in this life or carrying from another life. And like, to go back to that soul contract run of the girl in the paddock, when we come out of it, the facilitator was like, I have never seen power like that before. She was like, she was fucking wow. And she's like, I've done a lot of them. And she's like, I've never seen that power before. So yeah, it's like every little bit you do compounds and obviously helps you in this lifetime. And I would have to say now, of doing this work for 7 years, like I'm at a state where I just feel the best I have in a really long time. So yeah, it's never ending, we know, but it's each time we unlock a new part of ourselves. And it's like, because in those soul contract clearings, you can ask the person, like, do you have something for me, your past soul? And they might say yes, and they might say no. 90% of the time it's a yes, and it might be like a script. And on that script, you don't visually see it, but you burn that script to the ground and just be like, it's done. You tear it up, whatever you believe it to be. But the reason of course I go sideways, but I talked about my mum and my nana, was I actually did a session recently with my mum, and my mum lost
in real
her nana.
life.
Yeah. She wanted to do a session with me, and I offered it to do it because I was like, yeah. And she's done so much healing, my mum. Like, I first started seeing a kinesiologist, which really opened me to all this stuff, like several years ago now, probably like probably when I first was born, 4 years, because I was suffering really bad migraines, and I'm like, man, there's something about this, right? And of course we know, the more we go into the physical body, and if it's carrying pain and ailments, there's a message there for us. And for me, it was just massive awakening after awakening after awakening, but my physical body just couldn't catch up. It was so it's like my soul was still holding a lot and doing the work, but my physical body was just like going through multiple. So it was like, how can we slow that down, but how can we allow the physical body to catch up? So it was like through energetic clearing, pulling it out and all the things. So I did a session with my mum because she was sort of having continual pain, like in her hips, and so we cleared all that, but in the process did a past life regression. And when we went in there, like into doing it all, as I was saying before, you will be shown that you're someone different. But for my mum, it was her as a younger child, and her nana passed away, along when I was like a little girl, and she lost her auntie, who was her godmother. And it was funny when we went in there, and I said to her, took her to the soul, like to her star home. These people will present to you as we walk through it, and allow like your unconscious mind to choose. You got to keep reminding your conscious mind you are in this state. But once you start to catch up, and it starts to happen, you don't really have a choice to come out of it. You kind of go into that hypnotic state, as you would know yourself. And I've done with you too. And my eyes always go, like, as in terms, they just flash. Like I can't stop it. So once I've hit that stage, I know we're deep in it and you can't come out of it.
It
But
feels
my
good.
mum, yeah, my mum was like, oh, all I can see is my auntie's face. So she surprised herself and she was like, she's just smiling at me. And yeah, so, but what it actually ended up being for my mum was a generational healing because
Mm,
she showed her, it was her younger self. And it was just her nana apologizing. And it made so much sense for what my mum's navigating with her own mum and her sister through the matriarchal line, right? Which is,
mm-hmm,
the power of women. And in my family, it's pretty corrupt in terms of, prior to me doing the work I did, there was no boundaries. Like
mm-hmm.
I remember my sister sharing with a girlfriend that we didn't even talk to that I was pregnant with my firstborn before I'd hit the 12 weeks. So there was no respect in terms of boundaries.
Mm,
Um, and I learned the hard way, but now I'm now choose to share what it is. So I chose to put a lot of boundaries in place with my family, where my mum's just hitting that now and she turned 60 today. So it's like that, it doesn't, just because you're older, it doesn't mean you can't do the work. So for her, it was very healing to hear her nana say what she said to her, which was like, I'm sorry, I should have shown you more love or whatever, because that meant that her mum, so for her then to show my mum more love meant she was sorry she didn't show more love to her daughter, which is my nana, my
mm,
mum's mum. So therefore, and there's not like, bless my nana, I do love her so much, but I chose to remove myself from a lot of the women in my family because of that. And sometimes you just have to do that. This is the part of the healing journey, right? Is actually realizing that, and it can be like sad and you have a grief linked to it because it's like the old you is what you mourn a lot of, which would have been the women and the friends you had in your life, even the men and the
mm,
things like, but it's like, that's part of it. We signed up for this. Like, so for my mum, it's hard. But for her, like, it was, okay, this is where we are. But yeah, so my nana, it's funny, my nana gave something really sentimental to my younger sister. So my younger sister cried. And my nana sort of just like patted her on the shoulder and sort of walked away. Like
mm,
there was no emotions expressed because she grew up in that era where,
mm-hmm,
you didn't express emotion. And for a women,
mm,
women were seen and not heard and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, for my mum, it was really beautiful to receive that. So you go into these regressions and these contracts and these sessions. I just call them soul sessions in my business because that's what they are. It's soul work,
mm,
whether it be shadow clearing, whether it be energy pulling, past life regression, soul contract, karmic work, whatever. It's something to do with your soul. So it's
mm-hmm,
just soul work, right?
mm,
But innately, it impacts us in this life. So for anyone that's listening, that's like thinking, where the fuck are we at? It's like the reason why. So, for example, with a soul contract, is something for me was the money. It was just continuously happening all the time, like
mm-hmm,
being present. There was a problem there. And it's
mm,
like, no matter which way I tried to do things, whether it be mindset work or healing, it wasn't working. So
yeah,
it's like, it's something I agreed to. It's something I agreed to with my soul. So therefore, we need to go and clear that so that
mm-hmm,
my soul in this lifetime can be free, can be abundant, can receive with love because she's ripped up and torn that contract up of scarcity and poverty and lack.
mm,
So, and I'm on the other side of it 100% because through doing all of that, I just receive so effortlessly now. I really do. And it's not always with the money, but in the money aspect, yes, like it just comes so freely now. But I can still have those feelings of like, oh my God, what's happening? It's gone. Like, so it's like, okay, there's still something there. And that then is me in this lifetime, right? It's the
mm.
body remembering. So, okay, I can feel safe. What can I do to trust myself? And yeah, just really embody being a wealthy woman.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so much powerful stuff in there.
Mm.
With the last thing you were saying, that's the evolution of it, like the way that you've continuously progressed, just using money as one example. You did the ownership in this physical reality, you put the work in, you do the effort, and then say money, it's still not flowing. Okay, now we go into past lives. Now we operate, on the multiple levels, on the multiple dimensions, and how much it's shifted your reality. And even though it's frustrating that you have to do that level of work, perhaps that's also the joy of the journey. And now it's so much better, and the better it gets, the better it gets. So it can continuously be more fun. And
Absolutely.
I want to share, in the last podcast that I did with Brad, we were talking a lot about time, and I shared how, like, you know, the past and the present and the future are all happening at the same time. And I personally feel very tapped into that. And if I'm telling a story about the past, like right now I'm talking about the podcast that I did with Brad, that moment now exists in exactly the same time, and like they're very present together. And the same thing actually goes for past lives. So for people that are listening, just because it's so profound and I find it so fun, an example from myself, like when I would get stressed, I'd really feel it in my heart, and it felt like quite a sharp pain. And then several different random things happened in my life. I met a man that was really spiritual, and he gave me my first past life regression. And yeah, I probably won't give all the details of it now, but the very first thing that came up, which just, you know, these memories come out of nowhere. We don't, like, they're so specific and
It's
personal. It's your soul, right? The first memory came up, and it was based on, I could say, like a very, very vivid dream that I had as a child that I have always remembered. And at first I was like, oh, I remember this dream. And he was like, okay, beautiful, but don't remember the dream. Like, look more around you. Look at what you actually see right now. And then it sort of went from like the dreamy haze to like, oh, this is actually a memory that I saw. This is a memory. And we moved through it. Anyway, in that life, I was murdered in a horrific, horrific way. And I got stabbed in the heart. And I actually have this tiny little white dot on my chest there. And I've always wondered, what is that? Because it's not a pimple. It's not a birthmark. I don't know. It's just the skin is just whiter there. Got stabbed in the chest. And I was like, wow. So all this time where I've been feeling stressed, the stress is still real in the sense of this physical reality. But that very sharp, piercing feeling that I had, it was that time that I was murdered and stabbed through the heart.
Yeah.
And then these things go hand in hand. My, say, meditation and stress management in this life is so important, but I needed to revisit that past life to see that and clear that and free my soul. And there were other things incorporated I did there. And now when I feel stressed, it's not that sharp feeling. So it all ties together. And again, we are multi-dimensional beings. It really transforms like your present experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I remember actually going when I first started being really interested in all this stuff, because that's what happens, right? I started going to see, it was like a psychic fair, and there was a lady there doing numerology, there was a lady there doing readings, and I was just like, fuck, this is cool. And she actually said that about people that come into their life with birthmarks are usually burns from a past life. This is just her philosophy on it. I never investigated it more, but hers was like she had a client that had this funny indent in their leg. Same thing, when they went back into it, she was shot. So it's like, you know, it's as much as people can sit there and be like, I don't believe that shit. It's like, come and have a session with me. I'll fucking show you that you can believe this stuff, right? I don't need to convert you. You just already are interested because you're listening to this podcast. But 100%, like it's just, I find it fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So then when I actually realized that I had the gifts and I could facilitate this stuff, it was like, yes, give me more, like show me. So yeah, to be a sponge to that is just, it's phenomenal. And every day I'm always like, I am so grateful for my gifts. I'm so grateful for my mission. You know, I'm here. I know I'm here to do big work, like whatever it is, show me, lead me the way, like use me, whatever. Like, yeah, because it is an honor to be here in this life and live this lifetime, you know. And as I said, I was sideswiped by the universe when I was 28. And here I am now, in a relationship with the most beautiful man. You could call it was a fairy tale, you know, like he just sort of landed in my life. And I was just like, wow, like where did this man come from? And unbeknownst to me, I'd been, you know, silently manifesting someone like him that opened the car doors, that didn't drink all the time and actually drove you to and from your destination. Like, I didn't know any of that existed. And, when we first started in the early stages of our relationship, I was like, I don't want to be a mum. Like, I don't want kids. And at the time I think my niece was 18 months old. Like, she's 9 now. Oh, I fucking loved her. Like, and she is very herself, quite intuitive. Like, we just have this relationship. And she actually said to my sister, oh, she was my mum. Yeah, she used to be my mum. Yeah. So my sister was like, well, of course that makes sense. But she told her grandma that I had a baby in my belly when I was pregnant with my firstborn. And her mother-in-law said to her, oh, has Penny told me something that I'm not meant to know? And Rianne's like, what do you mean? And she just said that Jazzy had a baby in her belly. And Rianne's like, oh, it's news to me.
Yeah.
She was just here and, she was on her cycle. Like, I don't think so. And then, sure enough, a week or two later, I found out I was pregnant with my first. So, it's when for me, I think the biggest key takeaway message is if you are open to unknowing and open to exploring the possibilities, the endless possibilities of life, you will be rewarded. Because any psychics that I know that can as well tap into the other realms and talk to past loved ones and things like that, they will always say it is so colorful and the energy is so clean and different. And yes, there is still like a hierarchical order over there in the other realms, but everything is so vibrant and colorful and does look like those mystical Alice in Wonderlands, because it is. Because on this side, we are consumed with beliefs and fears and doubts and whatever, but also because it's a totally different matrix.
This side is like actually the game. That side is real.
It's like the Hunger Games, right? I bloody love that series.
You live in the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes like with the districts and things, now I'm like, we literally have different socioeconomic areas. Like it's
absolutely. I live in one. I'm like literally 92 steps from the beach, but you drive 5 minutes down the road and it's full of housing commission. It's the most beautiful part of Lake Macquarie ever. Like we are surrounded by water. It could cost you about $2 million to say buy a property now here in this market, but down the road you could buy one for probably 700,000, or even across the highway, because it's a totally different socioeconomic area. I wouldn't send my girls to school in that area because of
yeah. Well, and yeah. I want to just jump in on that because like it's just interesting because yes, as a society, obviously we need to do better, and that's a constant. We need to constantly evolve. However, in terms of vibration, different vibrations, especially in group settings, vibration finds like vibration because you resonate together. So even as a society, as we get better, there is still going to be discrepancies. And so then it's just interesting because if we watch the Hunger Games movie, it's like, well, we definitely don't want to be like that. But then at the same time, there's always going to be different vibrations. So it's like, wow, how avoidable is that? And I feel like that's almost an eternal problem. But I actually wanted to say something else from our chat like before, just with talking about past lives. I just wanted to share with people how much how sort of real it is and that it does come from your soul. Do you mind if I share something about like the time that we went back for yourself?
Oh yeah, it's fine.
It's not like very detailed, but so one time I held space for Jazz to do a past life regression, and we said, okay, like we do a clearing and things, and then what do we need to process? And Jazz was like, oh, I can't go back. Someone was holding the timeline, and it ended up being, and the man wouldn't talk either. He wouldn't communicate with us. So instead of just, it's not the same every time. And in this way, it's not like a falsified thing. Like we were like, okay, what memory do we need to see? And then there was a man there holding the timeline, and we were able to call in other people to help and then clear that. But that just blew me away because I was like, it's never the same. The way that you get there is never the same. And I had another friend one time who shared with me, she did or received a past life regression, And as they were doing a clearing process, say they visited like a fountain to just cleanse before going back, like in the mind, and there was an alien there walking around. And she was like, had her eyes shut. She says to the practitioner, like, hey, I know that, we're at this waterfall, but there's like an alien here. And the person was like, oh, like what? Talk to them. What are they saying? And it wasn't a positive presence either. And then that opens the door to like parasitic energies and things like that, and energetic hygiene. But again, like it is never the same. Like you actually don't know what's ready for you when you open the door.
And some people, that kind of girl that was like, oh, this is really scary, this stuff. And I'm like, what's more scary, living in the 3D with fears, doubts, and just fucking doing the same shit every day, or going into the 5D, into this, you could be galactical beings. I've even had times where it was a really powerful one, and it was so big, I could just feel it. And as I said, my eyes were just going berserk. And I just couldn't, like, it just, I couldn't control it at what was happening. And I said, oh, there's like this cat here. I can see her eyes. And it was Syrian energy. I was met by, this beautiful goddess and her husband. Is it Hathor? I think it was that. And I was just like, what? Of course. Like, and it was just these cat eyes. And it was almost like a cat I would see on these. I have this card deck called Beyond Lemuria, and it was these cat eyes, and it's amazing. For me, I'm always like, show me more. What else can we do? But in terms of that, like the energy of like there can be sabotage energy. That's why when you go up, I always ask, like, you do 3 times. Like, are you in service of the light? If the client doesn't get a yes or a no straight away, I won't move past until we do, because that's right. What happens is when you're like holding the torch of the light, you can almost get like they're called like a psychopomp, and they're basically just earthbound energies. They're just here, but because like you and I are basically light workers and hold the light, and for anyone else that does, you become really attractive to these beings because you are in service of the light. But you can just direct them back to the service of the light, just like that. They're gone. I remember holding a session for a woman. She talked to me about her her mum. I don't even know if her mum's alive, but basically abandoned her as a child. And she said, I feel like she's put almost like a hex on my life, like really black, dark energy. She told me multiple times, like just this really awful woman. And she was coming to me because she's like, I have just these experiences I'm having. Anyway, basically half an hour to an hour before we even conducted the session, my smoke alarm would not stop going off. And it was a hardwired one. It just kept happening. And I'm like, man, what's going on here? Even after the session it did. So we did all the protective things. I felt really safe. Like I didn't feel anything in it, but I knew this was like this energetic sabotage, because I said to her, that's cool. If you've got a dark light, white light, and love conquers all. Like love will overrule anything. So, we did a clearing. In the end, even my partner was like, oh, for fuck's sake, whatever's here, piss off. Like he was trying to watch the footy or something. And it eventually stopped. But I just energetic hygiene is a big thing, because, you're super attractive to any earthbound or anything up there because once you go up, and that's why I always do my protective cleansing prayers each day and night. I always protect I call upon Archangel Michael, Raphael, Ariel, Neural every single night to stand guard and protect my home, even my space before I do the work, because I was watching this lady sing the other day. She's a psychic, and she had an energetic attack during a session. And it's like, people want to do this work, but you don't realize how open you are to, and if you're inexperienced, I would say I wouldn't be inexperienced, but I'm still classified, I'm still, a lot of my abilities are still coming online, so I wouldn't say I wouldn't be able to sit here and say oh, look at me go. I just know the practices to take to make sure that I don't get energetically sabotaged. So super important. Even if you're just a general human being at a bloody job, you should protect your energy.
And I want to elaborate on that and be a little specific, because I can imagine some of our listeners are like, how do I protect my energy? You keep talking about it. So you can literally just say, Any energy that is not aligned with my highest good must leave now. Any negative energy does not have permission to be here. You know, I call my power back to me. I ask for the protection of God, or protection of divine light, or protection of the universe. And like, you know, if you're going into a healing session, calling on anything that is in alignment with my highest good, has my best intentions. Like, your word is law.
Yeah.
And
like my camera would just go berserk. I had this family that they'd lost their mum, and were having multiple sessions with me and stuff. And no matter what I did, my camera just would glitch. It would it was same thing, energetic sabotage. So I had to like fully have a moment with my camera and just fully douse it in energies and prayers, and it'd come back to good. I actually even went to the shop and bought a new camera because I'm like, the fuck, this camera's fucked. Like,
yeah, but it was energetic.
It was energetic, yeah. And once they sort of moved away and out of my energy, it just stopped.
It's so interesting. And two things I just want to add. I'll come back to the energy thing you just mentioned, but the biggest thing to remember, always, no fear. There is nothing to be afraid of. And because, like I mentioned earlier, like vibration attracts like vibration because they resonate together. It's literally that simple. So if you slip into fear, and that's okay, but if you go into fear, you are also opening the door for energies that are on that level. It's okay. We all do it. But so like sometimes if I have an entity in my room and it does scare me a little bit, I'm like, okay, turn the light on, go away. And I trust that that's enough. And as soon as you trust that stuff, like there's nothing to be afraid of.
You see that light bulb? Take it and go, you know, like that's the light.
Go into the light.
You can just be. But sometimes like there is like, I follow this beautiful psychic online medium, Haley. She is phenomenal, and she just literally does readings, but she'll share like, anyway, she has spirits come to her, and so they're traveling the Australia at the moment in their caravan, and the stories she's sharing as she's going around, and she's an Indigenous woman, so therefore she I find like they're a spirit in themselves, like an entity. So for her, of like greater good, right? She's definitely in here in service of the light.
So
but
cool.
Some of the stories that she shares, they won't, some just can't cross over. And like with psychopoms, like that energy. So between passing over and the spirit lingering, this is that part of that soul and the spirit. So that soul might have already reincarnated, right? And I've even had sessions with like a kinesiologist who has held clients that it's like the time in this 3D world compared to the 5D world, like your loved, like a soul has already reincarnated. Like just like that, depending on the person's mission and purpose. But the energy and the spirit of that soul lives on. And what happens is they can get lost between passing over into the light and staying earthbound. Yeah. Which they obviously have a purpose, but if that come to you, and sometimes they won't, they will see that someone like her, for example, can send them away. They might come to her to be sent over, but majority of the time they have a message for their loved ones still, so she's able to share it with them, and then they just
go. Yeah, amazing. Oh, it's so cool.
And cool.
To go just one step further, there are also circumstances where literally somebody else, other people, can prevent the soul from passing through with ill intent. And I've experienced that before, where I was doing a past life, and then it was actually the one where I was murdered, and I'll just say the word, that was actually in a ritual. It was horrific and disgusting. And they trapped my soul, and I've seen it in clients as well. And like, we have to do all these things to reclaim that, instead of, you know, people with ill intent holding on to it. And my fucking mind was blown. I'm like, why isn't it passing through? I'm like, I seem to be in a net, like this energy, and it was still there, still being utilized. So it's so real. And it's one of those things, you don't have to worry about it at all in the day-to-day, but if you're willing to do the work, it will transform your life in your present reality. Even if I just shared like the level of peace that I personally feel now, it's not just because my business is relaxed. And my business isn't relaxed just because I did certain action. Like, it's all these efforts in the multiple dimensions that I feel now so at peace, and like it will just continue to expand.
Because it's like the work you have done has given you the capacity to be able to do what you're doing now.
Mm.
So meaning like the healing work you've done, the, you know, if you want to just blanket it as with healing, which we know is lots of things like our coming into our power and all the processes of that, it's being able to give you the capabilities to do, let go of your business, to trust, to surrender. Because we know my thoughts and process and vibes around surrendering is that you surrender because you know and hold faith that there's something greater than what is here now that's going to help you, whether that be universe, source, God, angels, like whatever you want it to be, that you believe there's something greater that's helping you guide your mission, right? And it's like, well, okay, I'm surrendering to what is. And when I surrender and allow myself to flow and trust and have have faith, it's knowing that source is, like, does that make sense? Like you're removing that layer of control because you're trusting that you are being led to where it needs to go. Follow the breadcrumbs is my, like, for anyone learning, follow the breadcrumbs and eat them. You know, along the way, eat them. Yeah.
And just quickly, do you have to go in a few minutes?
12:30 is my call.
Oh, 12:30. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So
I quickly checked before, but yeah. 12:30.
With the word surrender that you just use, like, I used to say I'd think I was in surrender, but I was still like trying so damn hard and like really controlling and wanting to see further ahead. Say, for example, like to make sure that money would be coming in next month. Where is it coming from? Where are those clients going to be? And where I'm at now, I just know.
Yeah.
I just know clients are coming, money is coming, and to surrender instead of planning how things are happening. And it's taken me a long time to get here.
Yeah.
But like, I literally know that my highest path will happen for me, and I really don't have to do that much. And so even the word surrender for me has like totally changed.
Because I say, like, that's your clear knowing, that's your clear cognizance, like that's your ability. You have this clear knowing because you trust yourself. And then it's like that and that's different to that, as we're saying, that unknowing. So anyone that's like, yeah, but you just said you should unknow. It's like, yeah, but that's my clear knowing, right? That's my fucking deep trust that I have with myself. Because how do we build self-trust? Well, we follow through on things. And how do we follow through on taking off the accelerator. We're not going to follow the content plan. We said we're going to work out today and move my body because it makes me feel good, and I did it. So same for me before. I was saying I had put this offer out and one person signed up. My initial response was to just can it? No, fuck that. I'm following through and I'm going, and that then compounds to the next layer. We have no idea what that is, but we're just showing up with this trust and this faith, surrendering to what is, and it's allowing it to flow to get us to the destination. Destination unknown. That's what song comes to mind.
I love that song.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So cool.
It's funny how like you have to work quite hard to then not work hard at all.
Yeah.
But and I said this when I was talking to Holly, like, but the difference in working hard, it doesn't mean you fucking sell your soul working for a corporation and slaving away trying to get somewhere. Like, no, work hard as in like, how can I do better? How can I simplify my life? How can I tap into my body? What do I need to heal? The definition of hard work is different, because I feel there's an element of hard work that really has no end.
Yeah.
And doesn't really compound. I mean, if you work, say, for a corporation, like you would get a promotion and things, like you would get stuff in return. But when we say, you know, work hard, like it's different. But I just quickly wanted to say the other thing I was going to say before. We were talking about energy, and you said like your camera was not working because of people that you were helping, and it felt like a hex or something.
Yeah.
I just felt called to share like that the same thing happens in our body. And if we have a suppressed emotion, or even, you know, something from a past life or whatever, and the energy gets stuck, say it gets stuck in your shoulder, and there's like, there's energy stuck there. And over time, if that's left unattended, it can become manifest into physical, into matter, and cause pain. And I just felt this was really important to say, because that's when, from the 3D, you might be like, okay, I need to go to the physio, maybe get a
You take
massage,
Panadol.
take Panadol,
Mhm.
which, you know, we all did in the early days. And if it's not getting better, then it's perhaps and most likely a metaphysical thing. And
Yep.
this literally goes for all illnesses. And I am going to stand really grounded in that. That
100%.
doesn't mean, for example, say it's something really serious, that doesn't mean that you neglect the physical. You still get the support that you need if it's doctors, Western medicine. Like
Yes.
you still
Yep.
do that,
Yep.
but what else could be going on? Why is that energy there? Because, you know, I just mean to say that the healing is not just about the internal world. It affects the physical so fucking clearly. And so just like that camera was wigging out because there was energy in the room and it was affecting the camera, the exact same thing happens to our bodies.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why it's called dis-ease, like DIS dash ease, because there is dis-ease in your body somewhere. Like, and it's not energetically. So the way I like to describe, like if we move to the meridians, like the chakras, the main 7 chakras, but there's about 56 or more in our actual body. Like they're all around our ears, they're in our head. But the main one we talk about is like our crown chakra, for example, at the head in that terms of context. But is like, it's like the cogs turning, right? Like, so it's like just that continual filtration system. And it all starts at our base chakra at the tip where, and if that's out of alignment and it's going up, it's like it's misfiring, and that's like, it causes you to feel like, so for people, like, let's go to the money thing. For me, I hurt my back at the gym. I didn't hurt my back at the gym. I was having financial problems, and it happened in my lower back, and I hurt myself at the gym because I felt unsafe. I had a client exactly the same thing. So she come to me and was like, I think I'm going to have to cut our coaching short. I just can't afford to make the payments. I'm really sorry. Like, I don't even know if we can do that. And I didn't even worry about that. And she said the same thing. I can't do our call tonight. I've hurt my lower back. And I said to her, you haven't hurt your lower back. You are just feeling financially unsafe. So what can you do to get into your body to feel safe? Like, yeah, so say in our base chakra sits obviously money, safety, our family tree, like all the things. So yeah, these things can happen. So, you know, like you might have eye problems. Like, well, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's like, oh, I've got conjunctivitis. And I'm like, well, what don't you want to see right now? And it can be the same. Like, I went to have my eyebrows done, and here we talk about energetic protection, and I just couldn't stop coughing. I'm like, Jesus, I've got a tickle in my throat. Like, and then I thought about it later, and I was sharing it with someone, and she's like, wonder what she was saying. Wonder what she was not talking that she couldn't say. Like, and her energy, when I thought back to it, her energy felt a bit off. Like she was a bit pissed off about something. So you can actually pick up other people's things. So it's so interesting that. And for the people that want to listen, I have a book called Inner Segal, and it's about the body language, and it's literally an A to Z dictionary on issues like in your body, your physical body. I can't find it. In your physical body, yeah, Inner Segal, the secret language of your body, the essential guide to health and wellness. And we could flip to anything to do with your nose, something wrong with your nose, you're like looking for love and attention, you're not listening to your intuition. So I remember watching a lady sing once, and she's like, oh, my nose is so itchy, I can't yeah, you're not listening to your intuition. So you might be talking, yeah, so it's all linked. It's as deep as you want to go down the rabbit hole with this stuff, you will find something. And I'm just so passionate about it because it's truly helped my life and changed my life.
Yeah, well, one thing that I can like relate to really, I get eczema, and for so long, because I used to be a personal trainer, I've always loved health and fitness. And then I think when I was like 21, I was like, that's it, I'm getting rid of it. I'm getting rid of my eczema. I'm going to do whatever it takes. So I saw naturopaths. I did doctors, like blood tests. I spent a fortune on like creams and things, and I was really selective with my food. I didn't have any allergies. I got tested, but I was like, I'm going to take out anything that I think could be a problem. And then it got to like 2 years ago where I was so frustrated that my eczema wasn't going away that I went carnivore, and I literally only ate meat for 8 weeks. And I look back and there was a accumulation of other issues behind that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it didn't go away, and I was so stumped, like, I'm not eating anything reactive. Why is this happening with my skin? And then the thing happened where I moved back home, changed my business, and I really reflected on what I actually wanted. And suddenly my skin got so much better. So much better. And that was, I already knew it was stress related, but for me, that was the biggest fucking wake up call that, at least for me personally, my eczema, it really is not related to food. Like, I can almost eat whatever I want. This particular thing is so fucking related to my emotions. And like and I, now that I know that I'm psychic and like really, really sensitive and accepting that, I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense why it's would go off in certain situations. And maybe like 2 weeks ago, I had a really emotional circumstance and was there was like pressure on a few relationships, and my eczema came up a little bit, and I thought, you know, should I go and see someone and like speak about how I'm feeling, like, and go a little deeper. And in that moment, I was like, actually, right now, I am just under a bit of tension. There's a little bit of tension on these relationships. And it's actually okay. There's nothing to fix. I know how I feel. I know what I'm going to communicate. And I'm allowed to just be like, that has stressed me out. And therefore my eczema's come up, and like, that's okay. There's nothing to fix. And that in itself calms it down. And so when I was trying to make something in my body essentially go away and stop, it was not listening to the message, that it was the energy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And now that
it's like trying to get your attention.
Yeah. And now that I see that and I'm listening to that, if it comes up for me, I know like something, you know, is off. Yeah. And so instead of being like, oh, I've done something wrong, I need to eat better, and shaming myself, which always made it worse.
Yes.
I know it's a sign.
Yeah. And that's why I love the affirmation. I love myself unconditionally, because I am human, having, what are we, spiritual beings having a human experience. What someone had put that once on a live, like I do regular IG lives, I haven't for a little while, but a reading, and she was like, oh, we are human beings after all. And I'm like, yeah, it's having a spiritual experience, or are you a spiritual being having a human experience? Like stump you. But yeah, in saying that too, that's why I'm an advocate for being your own healer, because by doing all this work, you no longer need to source external validation or source external help. Like, to a certain extent, absolutely you do, whether it's in bettering yourself or something. But for me, I can first and foremost go in first as well and be like, all right, actually, instead of reaching out to somebody and which is why I chose to let go of my mentors, because I was like, I am doing myself a disservice, because I know what it is. Can I sit with it? Can I clear my mind and sit with what's coming up? I know how to go in and pull out shit from my body, just like you do too. And you can literally just pull it out. It's done, finished, forget it. And then, it helps. So yeah, it's like allow. And I'm even very really, like, people that do free card pulls or do things like that, I'm so fucking, what's the word, fickle, really
cautious,
conscious of who I let into my energy, like who reads cards, because as we know, which, you know, we help people with as well, but some people will take that as Bible, like what I said and shared. That's why I'm always like, use your own discernment, use your own beliefs and thoughts around what I'm sharing with you, but this is what I'm getting. But just because more, like, I can pull my own card and channel, like, you know what I mean, I could probably channel for them too. So it's like, it depends how I'm feeling. But I have not booked a psychic session with someone for a super long time, because it's like, sometimes someone puts, like, that medium Haley puts up one question for $30. I'm like, oh, the pool's there. Nah, forget it. Like, but not like disservicing us and our work by any means. But this is what happens when you unlock your own awareness and your own way forward, because you know where to start straight away. Where someone that's listening to this that doesn't, of course they're going to utilize someone like you or me, because someone else in this industry doing this work, because we can read your energy, we can pick up on what's happening for you. And you know, someone said the other day, I was reading or listening to something, and she said, oh, what's your thoughts on everyone being psychic? And I'm like, well, like, and this was asking someone, and my thoughts were, well, her, she said, oh, just not everybody's found their abilities, or not everybody is, or whatever it was. And I'm like, I would not agree with that, because me knowing and doing the work I do, it's like you come to here Earth with a purpose. Some is just to just be a mum and love her babies and idolize that. That's her role, and that's fucking beautiful. So would she be psychic? No. But would she be able to use her intuition, like, to know what's right for her and her family? 100%. So if you can tune into your intuition, you will slowly start to navigate your way down the path of becoming psychic, because you unlock your own abilities by becoming your own healer. And this is what I'm saying. That's me clarifying why I don't see psychics, or like I don't not. Like I was saying, I work with Britt, who we know is a phenomenal wealth seer. Like, so she's able to, but it's only if I ask. I don't go looking. I'm really particular, I should say, about who I let into my energy, 100%. And yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's like it's fascinating because it's coming full circle, and I might sound like a broken record. I've said this so many times, but like you and I both had a similar path where we invested a lot into mentors. They absolutely changed our lives, and then we've come back to being like, wow, I'm good on my own now, and I actually don't want someone else's method to interfere with my method, which is now coming from my soul. But to get that clarity in, in the channel, and the self-trust and the self-worth and all the things, it came with the guidance.
Yes.
Yeah. And just to add to like the way that we do our work, I am very aware of how I deliver messages. And, that's why I as well I wouldn't just listen to anybody say pulling cards. Because
like get on TikTok, and there's like, my sister said that the other day, she's like, there's so many people that do that, and I'm like,
I know, on TikTok you got to be careful. Because some people don't have that integrity, or we're human beings, and so it's coming through their human filter, and that's okay. But I don't want to take that
absolutely on. And not discrediting them by any means. Like I actually, well, you were the one when I was working with you, and you're like, why don't you go and do lives? Like, that's cool. And then it was like, I'm giving a lot of my own work away here. Like, I need to be aware of like how far you go. If you want a session, 100% book with me. Happy to give you a little bit of advice. And I then can't stop because I just want to give.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same.
But then it's like, and I'm all right to do that for a little while. But then I'm like, see, this is I just rein it back in, do a live on something else. Like,
and if you're giving away so much and there's no energy exchange, you're actually disempowering the person, because you're just telling them all this stuff and not giving them the opportunity to take the action themselves. And it's funny to now being really attuned to energy and so being psychic. Some people, the message might be like, you need to do some healing work, and it's coming through for me like it's clearly sexual trauma and it relates to like a masculine energy, but I'm like, that is too much, and also it would be disempowering if I told them exactly what it is to a T.
Absolutely.
And then I'll be like, okay, there's some healing work for you to do. I think it relates to this, maybe this. You need to go and think about that, because it needs to come through for them, and them again take the action. And that's how you also empower people. But like I said, I was reading tarot at the start of the year, and I stopped because I realized I felt it wasn't fully in integrity. I had to do all this healing work to come back and be like, okay, now I can deliver the message from that place of integrity.
Yeah, absolutely. I still don't use tarot often. I use it on myself, but I just love the uniqueness to the oracle. But it's for me, that's just a prompt to then. I then allowed myself to listen to the guidance and the messages, and they will come full force. Like I had a lady last month or something, and I literally felt like I could see into her soul, like just the visions that were dropping in. And she actually said to me, "Can you see into my soul?" I was like, "Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. Bitch.
Absolutely, I can. You need to book a session." And I just leave them hanging a bit more, and they come find me and be like, "I need a session with you." I'm like, "Of course you do."
It feels so good now, because we've had a similar path. we're no longer like trying to sell. It's like I just give them exactly what they need. I can see that they, you know, probably need more, but they will ask. And then when they come back and ask, you're like, yes, but you know,
that is soul hustling.
It's so from them.
Yeah. And that is like hustling my soul. That's like just hustling my gifts. And, you know, it's like, you know, just
doing the work.
Just showing a little bit of my bra strap, you know, like that's like, just
yeah.
Let the mind wander. Like, yeah, that's it. You can just, you know, come on into my DMs. How can I help you?
Well, because I want to share, like, now that I've been working at a market, which I fucking didn't expect myself to do before, little sign, read my book. It's so fucking, I find it hilarious. So cool. And because I know energy, I know I could probably sit there with no sign, and the people that are meant to work with me will work with me. Like, that's how much I trust now. And I agree that tarot is not my, like, I love doing it, but it's not my favorite thing in the whole world because it is just guidance, and I like the deep healing. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
But I love it because I just give people what they need, and I've been amazed. So I've done 3 sessions at a market, and so far 2 people have been like, oh my God, this is a sign, I need a session, and they've booked in straight away. I've never seen them before, never spoken to them, I didn't sell, didn't do anything.
Just your energy.
And that to me now, I'm like, this is a successful business to me.
For me, I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, and because these people, they want, there's no sell.
Oh, yeah. And for me, that's like your soul work. That's your purpose. And it feels so good. It feels effortless. It feels easy because that's what it's meant to be. It's not meant to be fucking slogging for hours, trading your time for money. And for people that still are doing that, that's just where you are now. And one of the best sayings that you ever said to me was, you cannot change someone else's timeline. And it's stuck with me like glue. And you can't. So therefore, when you show up and even the trying to force someone into buy something else from you, you're doing a disservice to them and their trauma. So, you know, they're going to invest in you, but then they're going to absolutely sweat balls every single time their payment is due. My invoice reminder system sends them one and they'll be just shitting their pants. How am I going to pay her? I don't want to attract a client like that. So there's also another beautiful saying is that you're not sperm, so we don't have to chase. So therefore we just allow our client, my soulmate clients find me with ease. It's just how it is. And they, of course, will buy from me because it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it just feels so fucking good, period. But, like, because we literally just helping people that need the help.
That's my biggest thing when people say, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I just want to help. I just want to heal the world and get paid for it. Heal the masses and be paid for it. That's it. That's my mission. Yeah.
Oh my God, this has been so good. Let's wrap it here, about an hour and a half. I was like, we'll try and keep it to an hour, but we were on a roll. Where can people find you, beautiful Jasmyn?
I'm on Instagram at @thisisjazz. _this _ jazz, but just type in This Is Jazz. That's where you'll find me. I show up on my stories most days and have a waffle.
Beautiful. I'll put your Instagram in the caption. People can find you if they love your work, which I'm sure they will. And this has been so fun. We will do it again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Wow. I am obsessed with this episode with Jazz. She is so in her power. And since we have recorded that, she has elevated herself even more. She is a womb and soul healer. So if you resonate with her, please go and check her out. I'll put her Instagram down below. And now I wanted to remind you again about my Shapeshifter Masterclass. This is for you if you're wanting to express yourself or try something new, but there is fear around that. Maybe you're afraid that it won't work, you're afraid that you're too late, or you're worried that you're going to disappoint people or experience judgment. Like, if you're noticing those fears coming up for you, this class is for you. This is for you if you want to be excited about your ideas, excited about opportunities, and able to have fun and explore who you are and what you do. And if you want to be surrounded by community who understand that, who want to see you learn and grow, people who celebrate your success, who celebrate you for putting yourself out there. And if you want to learn how to tap into the abundance of the universe so that you get rewarded for following your intuition, if you want money to come to you effortlessly, if you want to be able to pivot and grow and expand with ease, if you want to be able to take action and make things happen really quickly, this class is for you. This class, the Shapeshifter Masterclass, is how I have completely elevated my life. I have been through multiple rebirths. I have changed my business. And every time I've done that, I've actually gotten closer to my purpose, to my highest timeline. And I keep on getting more abundant. If it's working less, making more profit, working with more soul-aligned, full-body fuck yes clients, and people being magnetized into me. I don't do any paid advertising. I don't do any sales calls. I don't do any pushing or convincing, and people come to me. They are interested in my work. They're energetically drawn in. They bring their friends and family to me. They recommend me by word of mouth. This is everything that I do to have an abundant life and to have an abundant business. But anybody can come to this class. That's really important. The Shapeshifter Masterclass, it's Monday 23rd, Tuesday 24th, and Wednesday 25th of October. The classes will be short and sweet. They will also be recorded. So if you can't come to one, you'll still get the recording. So you will see every single session. You will get all the magical downloads. And of course, this masterclass is completely free and it's going to be fun. I'm going to show you just how easy, fun, and fucking abundant life can be. So I'll put the link for Shapeshifter down below. I would love to see you there. And thank you again for joining me in this podcast. Please message me with your thoughts. I love to hear your thoughts on the podcast and what this means to you, and if you have any stories that you want to share. Now, until next time, all the best, much love, mwah, bye.